Am I the jerk for walking off the field mid-game after the coaches ignored my disability a second time? I am really conflicted about my impulsive decision and would like random input. I am a disabled athlete who is participating with able-bodied players in baseball. On the outside, I look perfectly normal. Under the skin, the neuromuscular system is haywire on one side of the body. Young onset Parkinson's disease, functional neurological disorder. This is for social and physical benefits to feel like I'm part of the team. Before the season started, I communicated my health issues with the manager and team leader, specifically saying, I cannot play after 4 or 5 hours at the field because the medicine wears off and fatigue becomes too overwhelming. I am also injury prone and will perform badly. They said they would respect my request. Game day 1. Arrive at the field at 10:00. Game 1 starts at 12:00 and ends at 15:00. Game 2 starts at 16:00 and ends at 18:00. I am put into Game 2 after being at the field for 6 hours. My body is tired, I perform badly, feel like I humiliated myself, and then benched after 10 minutes of playing. I kept the bitterness to myself and wrote it off as a learning experience. The team leader later apologized via Messenger for not honoring my request and would try to do better next time. 2 weeks pass and we're planning for the next game. I send another reminder that I can only participate in Game 1 on these weekends. Got a thumbs up confirmation from the manager and team leader. Game day 2. Arrive at the field at 12:15. Game 1 starts at 13:45 and ends at 16:45. Game 2 starts at 17:15 and ends at 19:15. Again, I am put into Game 2 after being at the field for 5 hours. My body is tired, I perform badly, feel like I humiliated myself, and then benched after 10 minutes of playing. Frustrated that it happened again. I grab my equipment, tell the manager that I am going home, and then leave while the game is still in progress. About 30 minutes later, I get a message from the manager, just a heart emoji, dole. I left the Facebook Messenger group chats, left the team's planning app, and removed myself from all future events. I lost all trust with these team leaders and cannot further gamble my safety in their hands. These suggestions are to prevent me from feeling weakness and humiliation. When I was with this team in 2021, they honored it every time. Now, the whole dynamic has somehow changed. Haven't heard from anyone since and don't want to initiate that communication. Am I the jerk for ditching my team when the manager/team leader kept ignoring a simple timing request regarding my disability? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here for leaving the game, but it might be worth considering if leaving the team entirely was the best decision. A huge part of managing a disability is advocating for yourself, so just tell them that your disability is acting up and you can't play in Game 2. Don't even dress for the second game and rest instead. It sucks, but making sure your wishes and medical condition are respected is crucial. Am I the jerk for not telling my sibling I was getting a civil partnership? I tried to maintain a close relationship with my sister by sending her a few texts every once in a while, usually 1-2 times a month, to check on how she was doing. She would mention being in town for a few days and would suggest meeting up, but then I would have to repeatedly ask her during that week about when and where, and she would barely respond, eventually leaving without informing me. On one occasion, she asked me to visit our hometown with our dad, where she showed up 40 minutes late without any warning or explanation. Whenever I brought up these issues with her, she would make excuses like being busy with work, lacking time, or feeling tired, making it seem like it was normal to not reply for days. I expressed my concerns, questioning if she truly wanted to maintain a close relationship with me or not. She suggested that I should call her every week, even though she rarely reached out to me either. She claimed she would make more of an effort, which translated to texting me once a month. However, some of her behavior persisted even after this conversation. As time went on, her actions began to deeply frustrate me, and I gradually lost interest in trying to mend our relationship. I informed my parents casually, but I didn't think to tell my sister. When my mom revealed the news to her, my sister reached out to me expressing her happiness, but also disappointment that I hadn't informed her directly. I downplayed the situation, mentioning that we weren't in regular contact, which is why it slipped my mind. She responded a day or two later, stating that she expected me to share such important news with her. Reflecting on these events, I now question if I may have been inconsiderate towards my sister. However, I also feel worn out by her inconsistent behavior and constant demands on my attention. So I turn to you for your perspective. Am I the one at fault here? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. You've made efforts to maintain the relationship, but her flakiness and lack of consideration have made it difficult. Relationships require effort from both sides, and it's understandable to feel frustrated. Don't let her guilt trip you into thinking you're in the wrong, especially given the circumstances. Am I the jerk for not including our stepsister in a gift for our mum, who is her stepmother? Recently, our mother celebrated a significant milestone birthday. Over a year before her big day, she invited all of us on a cruise to celebrate. We are her 4 biological children, and our partners and children, our stepfather, and our stepsister. Our stepsister was always very difficult. She was an only child and, in our perception, was spoiled and acted entitled. She rarely visited, and when she did, she was demanding and petulant. There was a falling out for a few years in her late 20s between our stepfather and his daughter. They didn't speak at all. After a few years, our mother tried to be the peacemaker and bring them together. She arranged for them to visit her, made sure there were acknowledgements of birthdays and holidays, and made arrangements for her to attend family milestones like weddings, etc. Our stepsister moved out of state. Our mother arranged for mini trips to visit with her. She has a minor disability and doesn't work. During this time, our stepsister never showed any gratitude or appreciation for what our mother was trying to do. She rarely wanted to be included in family gatherings, but would complain if she wasn't invited. Fast forward to the family cruise, which my mum was paying for. We, her biological children, wanted to do something really special. We all chipped in for a very generous gift card to a spa retreat. The first night of the cruise, we presented her with individual cards and our gift. Later that evening, our stepsister railed on our brother, her half-brother, for not including her. She ranted that she was so embarrassed and humiliated because she wasn't included. She didn't even bring a birthday card. In all honesty, we hadn't even considered her because she rarely showed interest in participating in any of our family events. And besides, this was our mum. So, am I the jerk? Am I the a-hole? Because we didn't ask if she wanted to be included. She showed up empty-handed, not even a cheap birthday card. Essentially, she really doesn't care about any of us, not even her dad. It's pretty entitled to get invited to a birthday cruise and come without any gift at all. It seems to me that she didn't care and just lashed out to shift blame for her actions. If she wants to be included in family gifts, she needs to start acting like family first. Your mum's effort to maintain a good relationship wasn't reciprocated, and it's not your job to ensure she doesn't come empty-handed. You did nothing wrong here. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay off my partner's overdraft? I have known Ron as a casual acquaintance for a few years, but we started dating about 2 weeks ago. He has a full-time job and only pays his mother £40 sterling a week for bills, food. His only other expense is his car. So he has a lot of disposable income, but he doesn't save. He blows it all on nonsense like gadgets that he then never uses again. So much so that he's overdrawn by £2,000 sterling. Tonight I mentioned that some friends of mine are going on holiday in September and I am going to join them. Ron asked me, "How will you pay for that? You don't have a job apart from babysitting." I said, "I have £3,000 sterling in savings, so I will just use some of that." Suddenly Ron got a calculating look in his eyes and just outright asked me to pay off his overdraft. He said he would pay me back £200 sterling a month. I said he should just pay off his own overdraft at £200 sterling a month. He said, "But then I have to pay interest." I refused to lend him the money for several reasons. 1. He's such a spendthrift I don't believe he would pay me back. If he can't set aside £200 sterling a month to pay off his own overdraft, he is not going to set aside £200 sterling a month to pay me back. 2. Each way hairs. I earn a small amount of interest on my savings. Why should I lose that to save him interest? 3. What if I have an emergency or an opportunity like my upcoming holiday? I then won't have any money to pay for it. And I didn't say this one to him, but also I don't want to lend him the money because he has such a cheek. It's really made me see him in a different light, and I don't like what I'm seeing. Anyway, he thinks I'm the one being selfish because the money is just sitting there and I don't really need it. So, am I the asshole? You are not in the wrong here. A 2-week boyfriend has the goal to demand 2-3 of your savings, especially for debts incurred through frivolous spending. The only selfish person in this scenario is him, thinking he can take other people's money for his debts. The dude is irresponsible and has a lot of gall. Am I the jerk for telling my cousins to cut their dad some slack? So, my uncle is currently going through a divorce with his wife. This weekend I spent quite some time with my cousins Kate and Mary. I couldn't stand the way they talked about their dad. At some point, Kate said something like, I guess it was inevitable since mom is getting old for him to cheat on her. Sure, my uncle did cheat, but not because their mom was getting old. Rather because she's been an ungrateful piece of S who's treated him like a slave and money printer, and has been a complete recluse for the past 4 years. For context, I explained all of this to my cousins too. They're old enough to know now. 13 years ago, my uncle left his corporate job to start a business with me. For the past 9 years, this man not only worked his butt off to provide for his family and grow the business, I'm talking 90-hour work weeks, but he was also the housekeeper, cook, and driver for my cousins. He didn't miss one soccer match or school play, etc. One time, about 5 years ago, the dude overworked himself so much I had to drag him to a doctor to force him to take a week off. And while he was literally bedridden, his wife wakes him and tells him there are no groceries in the fridge, so he has to go buy some. She was always either too sick, too tired, or too busy with her job. And after COVID, things got worse. Now that her job is remote, she became a complete and total recluse germaphobe. If before the household chores were 70%, 30%, now it's more like 90%, T10%. And she refused him any sort of physical intimacy for the past 4 years. And when he asked her to go for marriage counseling, she just refused. Oh, and let's not even mention their lifestyle creep, which she took full advantage of despite her job's pay not increasing that much. Honestly, my uncle's been in a miserable marriage for a long time. And the only thing that kept him together was the fact that my cousins were in the middle. Now that Kate is going off to college, which my uncle is paying for in full, and bought her an apartment near campus, he did the same for Mary, I guess he had no more of a reason to stay with her. Mary kind of just stood there frozen, then she started crying and calling her dad to apologize. But Kate just got angry at me and called me an a-hole. My wife is saying I overstepped my boundaries and acted like a jerk. I maintain I just gave the kids some extra context. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. While it's true that the uncle is Tifa for cheating instead of ending things, the cousins were probably hearing one side of things from their mom. Some additional perspective from a third party shouldn't be that big a deal. People generally tend to get upset when their views are rocked and usually misplace their anger onto the messenger. Am I the jerk, pet parrot causing conflict with neighbors? We have a Moluccan cockatoo who has been with us for 5 years. We gave Peaches a home because a family member couldn't keep him due to allergies, and Peaches was in bad health. Peaches was being kept in a cage all day and was feather plucking. Peaches is now a completely different bird. He is much happier and has stopped feather plucking entirely. He now receives lots of attention and has out-of-cage time. We even built an outdoor aviary for him, so he can enjoy playing outside. New neighbors moved into the house across the street from us. In April, the mother knocked on our door and said that Peaches is making too much noise, waking up her baby. This happens when Peaches is indoors or outdoors in his aviary. We said we would make changes. These have included: 1. We asked about the baby's schedule and we do not let Peaches out during those hours. 2. We have added additional soundproof paneling inside our house. 3. When Peaches is loud, we discourage him from screaming. The neighbors returned yesterday and said that Peaches is still keeping their baby awake and that he has to go. They said they would be filing a noise complaint if we didn't get rid of him. You did nothing wrong here. You were there first and have taken reasonable steps to be considerate. If they move to the country, they should expect to hear various sounds, including Peaches. Unless Peaches is loud during legally required quiet hours, there's no reason to worry. It's ridiculous to think they can demand absolute silence just because they have a baby. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.